Hello, professors and classmates. It is for our team formed by Jeff, Leah, Nisha, Gillian, Jessica, and me, Ruben, a pleasure to present you our week problem policy analysis, Chiang Mai air quality. Our case study takes place in Thailand, country located in Southeast Asia. Our focus is in the city of Chiang Mai, which is located in the Chiang Mai province in northern Thailand. The city of Chiang Mai. Our case study takes place in Thailand, country located in Southeast Asia. Our focus is in the city of Chiang Mai, which is located in the Chiang Mai province in northern Thailand. The city of Chiang Mai. Our case study takes place in Thailand, country located in Southeast Asia. Our focus is in the city of Chiang Mai, which is located in the Chiang Mai province in northern Thailand. The city of Chiang Mai has an area of 40.22 square kilometers, and with a population of about 967,000 people, it is the second largest city in the country. The province of Chiang Mai is a mountainous region with altitudes ranging from 200 to 2,500 meters above mean sea level. Average temperature is 25.8 degrees Celsius, and annual precipitation is 1,140 millimeters per year. There are two main seasons in Chiang Mai: the dry season from November to April and the wet season from May to October. The city and most populated areas of the province are located in the lowlands, which represents about 15% of the territory. Those areas are shown in light green in the digital elevation model of the Chiang Mai province. As you can see, city of Chiang Mai basically lays in a valley surrounded by mountain ranges in the west and in the east. This picture shows land use patterns in Chiang Mai. Green areas represent evergreen forests, while yellow areas represent deciduous forests. As you can see, there is a predominance of evergreen forests, particularly in mountainous areas. However, there also seems to be a lot of fragmentation and degradation of these types of forests taking place in these areas. This may be attributed to switching agriculture practiced by upland farmers in Chiang Mai. There are three main factors that led to haze events in the city of Chiang Mai. The first and most important one is the burning of biomass by upland farmers. According to an emission inventory carried out by the Air Pollution Department of Thailand for the city of Chiang Mai, 89% of air pollution in the city could be attributed to the burning of forest lands. The second factor is local topography, which, as we have seen, develops into a set of mountain ranges that act as a natural barrier that traps air pollutants within the city valley. The third factor is wind speeds. Fast-moving winds will allow for the dispersion of air pollutants, while slow and no wind at all will allow for stagnation and prevalence of pollutants in the air. Regional wind patterns also influence haze events by bringing pollutants from western sides of the country. All these factors combined will result in high levels of particulate matter in the air, which will increase health hazards as shown in the map on the right.
The smog, or smoke as Chiang Mai locals refer to it, is the combination of vehicle exhaust, factory emissions, and forest, garbage, and agricultural waste fires that turn the city into an environmental and health fiasco during the hot and dry months of February to April. Chiang Mai, situated in a valley, is surrounded by mountains on four sides, where the smoke gathers and forms, according to locals and long-term residents, an almost black haze that sits over the city until the rains in mid-April wash the pollution from the air.
According to Colin Steefe of About.com, slash and burn is a method of agriculture primarily used by tribal communities for subsistence farming to survive. Humans have practiced this method for about 12,000 years, ever since the transition known as the Neolithic Revolution, the time when humans stopped hunting and gathering and started to stay put and grow crops when they recognized that domestication of animals and various crops would allow for the more efficient and greater ability to feed their populations. Today, between 200 and 500 million people, or up to 7% of the world's population, use slash and burn agriculture. Ger Yang asserts in the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse Journal of Undergraduate Research, Volume 12, 2009, that in the Chiang Mai area of Thailand, some crop burning originated with the immigration of a large Hmong population who inhabit many of the hill villages surrounding Chiang Mai. The ancestors of these populations migrated from northern China south to Vietnam and Laos, and after the Vietnam War and the loss of U.S. support, they migrated again to Thailand, bringing with them the slash and burn technique they had developed many generations ago in the mountains of northern China. Despite this generational practice, however, Yang also asserts that more recently the Hmong villages in question have altered their subsistence from agriculture to selling handmade goods to tourists. So, it is questionable whether they are still a major contributor to the pollution caused by crop burning. There's little other historical research present in the area, making it very difficult to recommend specific policy changes other than perhaps education to teach farmers about the detrimental effects of crop burning, other methods to use for land fertility, and the benefit of increasing tourism by reducing the smog.
A point that all respondents mentioned and agreed upon was the importance of education. Until viable and immediate alternatives are offered to farmers, traditional slash and burn methods will continue due to their ease, cost efficiency, and speed of results. I interviewed children, adults, business owners, professionals, and farmers. All expressed serious concern about the negative health, environmental, and economic impacts the smoke is having on all the citizens and residents of Chiang Mai. Many believe the situation is getting worse. This year, according to many respondents, the city's reaction was the same as previous years. Spraying water into the air, hotline numbers to report burning offenders, and planes periodically spreading chemically induced artificial rain miles above. The Chiang Mai Provincial Health Office handed out tens of thousands of face masks, and officials, like the years before, advised residents to remain indoors, seal windows and doors, and turn on their central air. These short-term solutions, referred to as Band-Aids by one interviewee, are easy solutions for the government, who knows that when the rains come in April, people will soon forget about the problem until the next year. When is the pollution at its worst?
It's worse in March. Yeah, it starts in March, and it's normally start in February, but it's very worse in March and April.
Why is that?
It's because the farmer was burned last time for the crop, and people burning, and some people pollute like mushroom, and they just burn. We have the important mushroom. It's very expensive. People believe you should burn the mountain and forget that, or get some vegetable. That's just by the culture. That's what people say by the culture, but people really not have any ideas. Just worse and worse every year. Not teach them how to do organic farm. Teach them how to not burn crop, because most of them, the farmer was poor. They don't know any better. They use what they do in the past, what the generation, what the grandmother do, or what they need to do is someone will tell them, if you burning, it's not good for your soil. It's worse for the soil. If you have organic, you not burn, you just, dig it up or do something, gonna have more cough like here, and nobody trusts them. And I think I only believe is the government can change. Yeah.
Thailand and Chiang Mai in particular experienced documented levels of increased air pollution during seasons of agricultural burning each year. Reports of smog, smoke, and burning effects can be found not only in health and scientific literature, but also in travel and blog literature dedicated to the region. While different entities and individuals may debate the adverse health effects in both the short and long term as due to widespread agricultural burning practices, it cannot be disputed that such burning exists and that it creates considerable observable smoke and smog during peak seasons during the year. Residents and visitors may track the daily air pollution levels using the Air Quality Index, or AQI. Measured on a composite scale of 0 to 500, citizens are directed to take certain health precautions during peak readings of 100 and above. As you can see from the slide, different air quality levels are indicated both by a numerical score and a color score, indicating the level of precaution needed in those populous groups most likely to be affected. Green is a score of 0 to 50, indicating good or acceptable air quality. Yellow is a score from 51 to 100, indicating only moderate concern. Orange is a score from 101 to 150, indicating that sensitive groups such as the young, elderly, or those who are already sick or compromised with cardiac and respiratory illness should limit their activity. Red is a score from 151 to 200, indicating unhealthy conditions for all groups. Purple and maroon, scores from 201 to 500, indicate extremely unhealthy and hazardous conditions during which all groups are strongly encouraged to avoid any activity or exposure to outdoor air. Residents of Chiang Mai may see the day's AQI on any number of websites or through personal phone apps. AQI is measured based on 4 distinct air quality indicators. They are particulate matter, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, and sulfur dioxide. Each has their own unique measurements, recommended thresholds, and causes and related health effects. To paraphrase, the most common adverse health effects correlated to these particulates are respiratory and cardiovascular illnesses, ranging from wheezing, asthma, and shortness of breath, to cancers, lung disease, and decreased cardiac function. In comparing these pollutants and their adverse health effects against a statistical health profile of Thailand provided by the WHO and UN partners, distinct correlations may begin to be drawn between pollutants and the leading causes of death. In 2012, ischemic heart disease was the leading cause of death in Thailand, with other pollution-related ailments such as stroke, respiratory infections, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and lung, trachea, and bronchus cancers also making the top 10 list of leading causes of death. WHO estimates that some 80% of outdoor air pollution-related premature deaths were due to ischemic heart disease and strokes, while 14% of deaths were due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or acute lower respiratory infections, and 6% of deaths were due to lung cancer. Premature deaths related to air pollution understandably, but also tragically, affect those developing countries in disproportionate numbers. In a continuation of the WHO's report, the organization estimates that 88% of pollution-related deaths occur in lower and middle-income countries, with the regions of the Western Pacific and Southeast Asia being particularly affected. While the connection between slash-and-burn agriculture, air pollution, and adverse health effects seems clear, it cannot be counted as the sole cause of these negative health effects and poor environmental outcomes. In understanding the AQI and sources of pollutants, one may identify several other contributing causes of ambient air pollution and heart-lung disease, such as tobacco use, the burning of fossil fuels for home heating, an abundance of exposure to small engine exhaust from vehicles and machinery, as well as smoke exposure from man-made and naturally occurring wildfires in Thailand's dry season. Pinpointing exact causes aside, there is a demonstrable link between air pollution and adverse health effects in the Thai population, spurring cardiac and respiratory illnesses to be among the leading causes of premature death. Alleviating the sources of this pollution, and hence their negative health and environmental impacts, will require a unified effort among local and international government entities, agricultural and manufacturing interests, and the efforts of local citizens.
In Thailand's current politically charged environment, officials are not quick to upset farmers who make up a large chunk of the voting population. Most Thais were fearful to speak on camera or have their voice recorded due to the potential political ramifications of speaking out or criticizing their government. However, all acknowledged that the smoke was a serious issue, primarily in relation to their health.
What are some of the negative health effects of the pollution on the local population? Do you notice an increase in hospitalization or?
They have some diseases. In terms of normally the people, as I know, if some people they weak, they are weak or like they're not strong enough. Some starts out from the children until elderly people. They have the problem in terms of they will affect about the asthma. The people who get ill about the asthma. The asthma will become violent, more violent in terms of the symptom. This is because of the air is not clean enough for them. So every time that I think the old elderly people, or the small children, they have to come to the hospital every. So I read the quantity of the people that are getting higher, the quantity of the of the patient about affected with the breath system, the problem. This is the negative negative effect from the air pollution.
There are hundreds and hundreds of additional people seen at the hospitals on a daily basis during this entire period of time. People with respiratory infections, people with cardiovascular chronic problems, people who just simply are in poor health chronically, have a very, very, very difficult time. It also affects the elderly, it affects the young, it affects pregnant women, large segments of the population. There is an uptick in the deaths during this 3-month period of time. There is substantial health care costs, both to the individuals involved as well as to society and government healthcare support organizations. I have a friend whose daughter is 8 years old. She has asthma. They simply have to leave during that period of time every year. Go to the beach or to an area outside of this and stay throughout the duration because she is otherwise hospitalized on an annualized basis.
Thailand ranks 22nd in gross domestic product globally, but 81st in per capita GDP. A 2015 report from the IMF notes, quote, Thailand stands out in international comparison as a country with a high dispersion of productivity across sectors. It has especially low labor productivity in agriculture, the sector that employs a much larger share of the population than is typical for a country at Thailand's level of income. Agricultural exports make up a significant portion of Thailand's GDP, with rice and rubber as the leading export crops. However, exports have stagnated in recent years, flatlining over the past decade. Conversely, while tourism makes up a smaller portion of Thailand's GDP, generating less than a fifth of what agriculture does, it is a fast-growing sector, generating a total impact of $66 billion in 2013, or 17% of Thailand's GDP, quickly overtaking that of the financial services, education, mining, and communication services sectors. IMF data does not provide data by month to demonstrate the high tourism seasons in various regions of Thailand, so it is difficult to draw direct conclusions as to the economic impacts of slash-and-burn agricultural practices on the tourist economy in Chiang Mai. The Chiang Mai region is seeing growth in the real estate market as Thais, European expats, and upper-class Chinese families look to buy retirement homes and second homes in the area. It'd be interesting to look at fluctuations in housing sales as well as international flights over the course of the year to see the potential impacts of the burn season. In 2013, Thailand enacted policy reforms to abolish rice pledging schemes, in which the government effectively subsidized rice production by purchasing rice from farmers at above market prices. The reforms replace these schemes with direct cash transfers to smaller farmers, with the goal to save 0.5% of GDP. Looking forward, it will be important to monitor this policy shift to determine if it has been effective in encouraging rural farmers into higher productivity sectors.
In addition to the recommendations by Chiang Mai locals and long-term residents, I believe that the city would benefit from a public transit system to reduce the overwhelming amount of traffic and emissions from vehicle and motorbike exhaust. Enforcement of congestion laws and emission standards would all prove beneficial as well.
According to information, as I know, because many friends of mine are foreigners living in Chiang Mai for a long time, they told me that Western people, Western tourists, like European people, American people, American tourists or European tourists, they will stop decreasing in terms of the number of the tourists from that country, stop decreasing number to Chiang Mai, because they're aware of they're aware of the problem of air pollution in Chiang Mai at that time, during hot season. But the people from the eastern side, like Chinese people, Korean people, or even Japanese people, they never care very much about this, because they seem to understand something like that.
Thailand is a country chronically plagued by political unrest, with many opposing factions, which ultimately led to a major coup in May of 2014. This political instability has led to the breakdown of many governmental systems. Environmental policy has been no exception, as while there have been established measures put into place that could be capable of tackling the present environmental issues, there are numerous barriers to policy effectiveness. With many stakeholders and independent government offices working to target the issues, there is often implementation of policy but no cohesive maintenance or program level support. From the oversight level down to inconsistent funding, the impacts of the system's mismanagement can be seen across the sector. The primary branch of government controlling environmental policy is the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, which has seen large-scale restructuring since the mid-1990s. Other governmental actors are the Ministry of Industry, Interior, and of Agriculture and Cooperatives. Most recently, the enactment of the National Environmental Quality Act has started several environmentally focused initiatives working with these agencies. The pivotal moment for environmental policy was marked with the passing of the Enhancement and Conservation of National Environmental Quality Act, where new initiatives such as the Pollution Control Committee were established to combat the country's environmental issues. Another aspect of this expansion encompasses the Office of the Environmental Fund, which is responsible for grant and fund issuance directed at programs set in place to implement environmental protection programs. In recent years, guided by the National Environmental Policy and National Environmental Action Plan, under the provisions of the Act, the organizations which are tasked with environmental issues have undergone significant structural reform. Another integral component is the Pollution Control Department, which works on a very large scale throughout the country, focusing on enforcing environmental policy and regulation, such as ambient air quality standards, emissions, and fuel quality standards, as well as regulations on industry emissions. The legal guidelines set forth by the PCD look to establish categories of source annual pollution discharge and what appropriate standards can be set in place for dealing with those issues. Local authorities serve to enforce the monitoring and continued projects set forth by the Pollution Control Department. The PCD has continually followed and monitored the air quality in the northern region. There are 15 air quality monitoring stations in the 9 northern provinces. These stations are what report and collect data throughout the year and track the spikes during the burning season where particulate matter regularly exceeds the standard level set. Along with monitoring, the PCD is responsible for inspecting, analyzing, and processing air quality data, the number of hotspots, meteorological data in order to report and give warning on the haze situation, which is done through various channels according to the 4 levels of particulate concentration. While limited, there are some international and NGO partners who are involved in the environmental policy process in Thailand. One partner is the EPA, which has partnered with Thai agencies since the late 1990s on a number of initiatives targeting air quality management and other improvements around the country. Through work directly with the Thai Pollution Control Department, the EPA implemented monitoring protocols, emission inventories, air quality monitoring, and promotion of transportation improvements to support the environmental goals. Much of the EPA's role has been done in a consultant capacity to support Thailand's growth as a more environmentally conscious country. This support and supplemental training has led to Thailand joining the Regional Environmental Information Working Group, a platform for neighboring countries to meet and discuss transnational issues as well as best practices utilized. Another is the Global Methane Initiative, which Thailand joined in 2008. On an international level, Thailand air pollution environmental policies are greatly impacted by the ASEAN rulings regarding transboundary haze. ASEAN countries enforce 1 to 15 burning control measures to prevent transboundary haze and to enhance their abilities in transboundary haze control. Training on air quality inspection, haze pollution control are organized for the countries. The ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution aims to let the parties in the agreement take action by themselves and collaborate with other countries on these best practices. While measures have been established that are capable of solving problems, there are a number of barriers faced by the organizations mentioned above and ultimately to the policy effectiveness in Thailand as a whole. As the controls for continued prevention and promotion of air pollution solutions are not in place, which can be attributed to a number of factors such as the lack of funding, ill-equipped and untrained staff, as well as systematic issues of poor communication and organization through various government agencies. Without equipment or personnel knowledge, these agencies tasked with monitoring the environmental situation are often unable to do so efficiently or with any consistent rate of efficacy. These inefficiencies further perpetuate the negative feedback loop within the system, as without compelling data and consistent science to enforce the dire need for change, the country does and will not prioritize air pollution as a primary issue.
It has been clearly established that crop burning in Chiang Mai is a deeply detrimental issue and classic wicked problem, and one that will require a great deal of cooperative efforts from a variety of stakeholders to address. Those stakeholders include government officials, residents, hill farmers, and many more, all of whom will need to be incorporated into any sort of proposed solution in order for it to be effective. Major issues include problems for everyone. Chiang Mai residents at risk for various diseases and health disorders become progressively more prone to suffering as the air becomes more polluted. As our interviewee Larry noted, the health effects worsen every year for the afflicted, who have little recourse but to suffer in silence. Government officials suffer from a perceived lack of sympathy or responsibility on their part to their constituency, caused by the band-aids they apply every year simply to make it through the hazy season, despite the fact that producing artificial rain and recommending masks and sealing homes as a strategy has not proven to be effective at solving the problem, but merely treating the symptoms. Farmers suffer from being viewed as villains for historical agricultural practices that they learned many generations ago and practice because it is what they know and believe in. Furthermore, all stakeholders suffer from a loss of potential tourism during this season, which could greatly benefit everyone. Because this wicked problem, by nature, has a long reach into almost every facet of Chiang Mai's infrastructure, one policy recommendation we can make is that of education. Interviewee Fong specified this herself, saying that farmers need to be told that burning is in fact not good for the soil but makes the soil worse, and it could hardly be argued that there are not methods as effective for treating soil that produce far less negative effects. Therefore, education could begin with the hill farmers doing most of the crop burning by offering clinics and home visits that present alternative methods of soil fertility treatments, and perhaps even providing education on the process the immigrant Hmong population used to progress away from subsistence farming and into sale of handmade items to tourists. This transition, should it be properly implemented to begin with by extensive education, would result in less crop burning and less smog, hopefully thereby inducing more tourists to visit during what was previously the time most recommended to avoid Chiang Mai, increasing sales and boosting the economy, which would in turn encourage more farmers to turn away from crop burning as a method of subsistence farming. It would be remiss, however, to ignore the necessity of educating the other stakeholders as well. While it could conceivably be argued that the government is already aware of the many particularities of the issue and that their instability and inefficiency will make it less than feasible that they will solve the problem on their own, they could stand to be educated in the proper process of addressing stakeholder needs by incorporating the stakeholder solutions into proper policy implementation. Ideally, governing bodies would supplement the educational clinics and home visits of the farmers with some informational efforts to inform Chiang Mai residents of the change in policy and would create a holistic and universal view of the issue as a wicked problem affecting everyone, in place of the historical us against them attitude currently shared by the parties. Furthermore, the construction and maintenance of a public transit system to reduce traffic and the enforcement of congestion laws and emission standards would almost certainly contribute to a reduction in smog, as well as increase the appeal of the area to tourists, which is already a major goal in policy implementation to boost the Chiang Mai economy. The wicked problem in Chiang Mai is not unsolvable, but it will require a great deal of cooperation and 360-degree feedback on the part of all stakeholders, and almost certainly the help of some outside parties in order to make progress. Beginning with a public transit system, enforcement of laws and standards, and a great deal of education is a start. And while Chiang Mai faces a daunting task, there is hope.
Unfortunately, these laws and recommendations are not feasible until Thailand becomes more stable and starts to control its own internal corruption. As the police and military fight for control and the health of the king and the royal succession in the air, environmental and health concerns will only be an afterthought. In the meantime, the issue is being addressed by concerned individual citizens, organizations, and universities.
The issue of Chiang Mai's air quality is certainly a wicked problem involving stakeholders from rural farmers to city residents and business owners, local and international tourists, multiple Thai government bodies, the health sector, and international non-governmental organizations. By investigating into the geography, history, health impacts, economic impacts, and policy climate of Chiang Mai, as well as in-person interviews with Chiang Mai residents, we have sought to delve into some of the key elements of the problem to identify potential policy options for moving forward. In order to provide a fuller policy analysis, it will be important for policymakers to involve more stakeholders in direct conversations around the current state of the issue in Chiang Mai, namely rural hill farmers themselves, who we were unable to interview directly. This photo of a Thai farming couple has been the source of some internet drama recently, since its selection as the main feature photo on the Wikipedia entry for Human, as it depicts rural life in Thailand, not what is popularly considered so-called modern humanity. However, through our exploration of the wicked problems associated with farming in rural Thailand, it is clear that there are modern complexities which interconnect all humans.